Hey there, it's John again, here with part 5. Let's get this thing done. We've been through 4 previous videos where we set up all of the basics. We learned what clauses were, subject, verb. We talked about different types of clauses, independent clauses, dependent clauses. That one was where we add a subordinator to the front of an SV. And we had a couple of examples of subordinators. Then we got into types of sentences, simple sentences where you have one independent clause. Then we went into compound sentences. This is where you have 2 independent clauses and we can join them in 3 different ways. The first was comma fanboys. We looked at that. Then our second one was independent clause, semicolon, independent clause. And our third one, independent clause, semicolon, and then a conjunctive adverb, a word like however, that is set apart with a comma from the independent clause. And these were some of those conjunctive adverbs. And then we looked at the 2 types of complex sentences. And that's where you put a dependent clause first with a comma, and then an independent clause, and then lastly an independent clause with nothing in between, and the dependent clause. If you haven't watched the previous 4 videos, you really need to, unless you're keeping up. If you're keeping up, good job. Otherwise, go watch those previous 4 videos. And so let's just do a quick recap then. I already did, but we have our 5 rules. Independent clause, comma fanboys, independent clause. Independent clause, semicolon, independent clause, semicolon, a word like however, comma, independent clause, dependent clause, comma, independent clause, and lastly, independent clause, nothing, dependent clause. Okay, so now we know how to combine clauses in all the different ways. Today, on this video, I want to show you what it's like when we create sentences with 3 or more clauses. Sometimes we just join 1 to 2 and join 2 to 3, and it's as simple as that. So let's take a look at this example here. I'm going to make a few copies of this. I almost wonder if I should make it green. Feels like I need to make it stand out here. Okay, beautiful. I'm not sure if that's beautiful, but we're going to use it. AI is becoming a big problem in schools. Okay, there's an independent clause. Teachers can't tell whether the students are doing their own work. School boards and teachers are having a lot of conversations about this topic these days. Okay, so we have 3 clauses, right? How do we join these together? Well, let's just take a look at it. Let's join 1 to 2. AI is becoming a big problem in schools. Okay, independent clause. Subject, verb. Teachers can't tell whether students are doing their own work. There's another independent clause. School boards and teachers are having. Okay, so we have 3 independent clauses. Why don't I just join AI is becoming a big problem in schools? I could do comma 4. Make that a comma fanboys situation, right? I could also add because, but because is a subordinator, which is going to make this whole clause a dependent clause now. Okay, so if I have an independent clause here joined to a dependent clause here, what do? What's our rule? Yellow, green, nothing in between. Boy, that rhymed. Yellow, green, nothing in between. Okay, so I would just leave it right here. This is correct. AI is becoming a big problem in schools because teachers can't tell whether the students are doing their own work. Okay, so now I need to join that to this one. In this case, I think I have to do one more step here because I think this is one idea. AI is becoming a big problem in schools because teachers can't tell whether the students are doing their own work. That's the issue. And then the result of that is all of this stuff here. So I think at this point, we have to make a little bit of a step here. I'm not joining a dependent to an independent. Are you ready for this? This is going to blow your minds. Ready for this step in logic? All of this could be a complete sentence by itself. Would you agree? Would it be okay if I put a period right here? AI is becoming a big problem in schools because teachers can't tell whether students are doing their own work. Period. Right? That could be a sentence by itself. So, I don't want to finish it here maybe, but let us look at this whole thing as if it's one big independent thing. Okay? Because it could be, I could put a period here and it could stand by itself. If you remember what up above when I talked about independent clauses, let me just show you, can be a sentence by itself, right? That's what we call the independent clause. So this is just a little bit of a stretch from that. I think this could be a sentence by itself. So let's consider that a complete idea. Now, we're going to join this complete idea to this complete idea. And how do we do that? Well, we have three ways. We could go comma fanboys, comma so. That's a natural way to do it. AI is becoming a big problem in schools because teachers can't tell whether students are doing their own work, comma. So, school boards and teachers are having a lot of conversations about this topic these days, period. Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense. We could put a semicolon. We could put some kind of a connector word like as a result, right? I could do a little conjunctive adverb. I think I was making those blue, right? That's good. I could also try to just use a semicolon. How does this work? AI is becoming a big problem in schools because teachers can't tell whether students are doing their work. School boards and teachers are having a lot of conversations about this topic these days. Yeah, I think that works. The first part is a cause. The second part is the result. And so I think we have a logical connection there. So I think you can see many of our possibilities. Let's try another one down here. Maybe I'll come back to that later if I need more, if I need to demonstrate more. But let's try another one here. It's very difficult to learn a second language. Okay? I think we all agree that's an independent clause. It is. If you don't have patience, there's a subordinator at the front. So that's a dependent clause. And then you will give up along the way. That's independent. I think maybe we need to deal with the second and the third one first. It's almost like if you don't have patience, you'll give up. And then it's very difficult to learn a second language. I think we want to deal with these two first. If you don't have patience, you'll give up along the way. So we have a dependent clause first, independent clause second, green and yellow. So we go up to our things. Green first, yellow second. We put a comma between them, right? So let's do that. If you don't have patience, you'll give up along the way. Now, again, let's make that same jump. I think that is a complete thing by itself. If you don't have patience, you will give up along the way. That could be a sentence by itself, right? So again, let's treat that whole thing as something that is independent. And then now we just have to join two independent things. Maybe we want to do just a semicolon. I think that's a cause and effect. It's very difficult. Therefore, if you don't have patience, you will give up along the way. I think so. We could do a semicolon there. We could do semicolon therefore, as I just said, comma. We could do a comma fanboys, comma so. It's very difficult to learn a second language, comma. So if you don't have patience, you will give up along the way. These are all correct sentences. When my friend goes shopping for pet food, when, that's a subordinator. He spends a lot of money. Okay, independent. He has a pet elephant. Oh my God. All right. I think he has a pet elephant is by itself. I think that's the cause. And the result of all that is that when he goes shopping for pet food, he spends a lot of money. I think, therefore, we should join these two first, right? So green, then yellow, as we saw up above here. Green, then yellow, we dependent, independent, we put a comma between them. So when my friend goes shopping for pet food, he spends a lot of money. And I think that could be a complete sentence by itself, right? So let's call that independent. And then he has a pet elephant. This is the reason for the first part. So we could put comma 4, for he has a pet elephant. Alternatively, we could just put a semicolon, let the reader figure out the connection. This one is like, when my friend goes shopping for pet food, he spends a lot of money. And you're thinking, why? Why does he spend so much? He has a pet elephant. And you're like, okay, elephants eat a lot of food. Yes, I get it. So you can make that connection yourself. That's the cause. Alternatively, we could put a because here. And as soon as we do that, that's a subordinator, right? We all remember good old because. That turns this whole thing into green. It's now dependent clause. So when you have yellow first, second green, yellow first, second green, nothing in between, and therefore we do nothing. We just go like this, and we put a period at the end. So anyway, I hope that gives you a few examples of how you can make longer sentences that have 3 or 4 or 5 clauses using our rules. Really, it comes down to these 5 rules. And one last thing that I'm going to show you and attach down below will be, I've got a little 2-page chart of different connector words. I've got all of the sentence transition words. Those are the ones like however. Those are the adverbial conjunctions. All right. So we had however in that category. Okay. Any word in this category is used the same way, right? They're all used like with that semicolon, however, comma. Any word in this category can be used that way, basically. Then we're middle column, we have the fanboys, and, nor, but, blah, blah, blah. And on the right, we have all the subordinators. So if we talked about on the next, and this is 2 pages here, so because, since, all of these ones, and these various time words. So I think this chart will be very helpful to you. So anyway, that's my little series about sentence connecting. Feel free to rewatch it, and I hope it's been helpful. And we'll be back with more videos in the near future. All right, have a good one.